whenever I make my connection to Sholay known to a stranger, there's a smile on that person's face that is worth and that is priceless. The Office was kind of the evolution of the sitcom. No? So rather than the laugh track of the sitcom, you have this look into camera, which again brings the audience into the equation. Somehow, OTTs have not yet unlocked comedy as a genre. Gopal's character, he's like a full. He's out on a tangent. He's doing all these crazy things that no platform would let you put that out today. He was running a site called desihits.com, and that's how she got to meet Priyanka, because this video blew up on her site.
Hello Rohan, welcome
Hi,
to
Devansh.
Screen.
Thank you.
So, do you remember the time when you took on Criminal Justice from season 2? And how was that like? Who approached you? Why did you decide to take that up?
I guess it was initially the folks at BBC. I had done The Office, which was also with Applause and BBC.
Yeah.
So having done that, that was 2018. And then I guess somewhere around the middle of 2019, they had gotten the green light from Hotstar to take it forward. So I think that's when it came into my orbit. And yeah, so it was exciting for multiple reasons. One is obviously Pankaj Tripathi was a very watchable actor, and I was very keen to work with him. And it was something that I had not done. I had never done this kind of a legal thriller. So there's always a little excitement when you're faced with something new. You've enjoyed those shows as an audience, but now as a maker, to get to be associated or get to work on one of these kind of formats was interesting. So yeah, that was the pre-COVID world. It's hard to remember now, but my parts actually, we ended up just shooting just as lockdown kind of hit. I had finished more or less my 4 episodes, and then poor Arjun had to wait till August, I think, to finish his section.
But so Office and Criminal Justice came to you at the same time?
No, Office was about a year earlier.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was early 2018 that we, yeah, and then this was December 2019. So a year and a half between them.
So the first season was directed by Digmanshu Dhulia
And Vishal Furia. Huh?
Vishal Furia, and it was written by Sridhar Raghavan. He was the lead
She
writer.
Sridhar was a lead writer. He did not then. I mean, he was
Yeah.
critical, I think, in getting Pankaj ji on board.
Yeah.
But then I think he departed before the show was shot, is what I understand.
So, but how was it to take on season 2 and make it your own?
Well, I guess you do it a little gingerly at first to understand. The good thing is to have as many people with the legacy associated, primarily Pankaj Tripathi, obviously. Some of the creative team from BBC obviously were continuing. And so they end up becoming the biggest guides for you as to what they're looking for. And the good thing about the second season in that sense was, again, that had like the first season, had a British version.
Yeah.
The major departure was they added Pankaj Tripathi as a lawyer, whereas the British version had some women lawyers, which they wanted to continue with Madhav Mishra, obviously. So that was a one departure, and bringing his wife and a slightly more domestic aspect of it. And otherwise, yeah, so these were the things that the running actors mainly were. I think Pankaj, Anupriya was continuing, and then we had, of course, Kirti, Jishu, all the new set of actors that came in. So yeah, it was. I was kind of definitely helped along by them, and other than that, I mean, I don't think once you understand the writing, I don't want to look too much back at that approach. You discuss it with whoever it is on this season and decide this is how we're going to go about it. That usually works out better, and the writing itself usually informs you how you're going to be able to execute it.
And season 1 and 2 both had like a blueprint because they were adapted. The third season was where we really took it, where you really took it off.
Correct.
And
But not with me as in
as in your
everyone.
team,
The
and really made a show of its like a which wasn't a continuation of the British
yeah.
original.
So I mean, I've not
Yeah.
spoken to these guys about it, but my reading is that then it, because the criminal justice template comes in. Okay, what happens to an innocent or any person you brought into the criminal justice system, you might end up becoming a criminal by the end of it. Right? That was the
Yeah.
starting point of the night off for
Yeah.
criminal justice. What was nice, I found, even the little things we did in season 2 and definitely then season 3 and 4, it evolved to actually becoming more of a Perry Mason kind of show. This is a show of this lawyer and the interesting cases that come his way and the challenges he faces. So, I think the decision of adding the wife in season 2 gave us a clue that there was a lot to be gained by opening up this dimension of both the character and the show. Not just making it a dark thriller, giving a little relief, a little different kind of, these relationships just add a lot, they're not directly related to the plot, and then of course third season the Sala shows up, so there's even more of that dynamic playing out, and now Mandira Mathur's daughter is entered, so we've almost got a full blown, which is I think works wonderfully, and it gives it its own identity. So it's kind of departed from the British version and becoming more of its own thing, which is only a good thing, I feel.
Yeah, even season 4, I mean, you've talked about how he's like building a family is being built of Madhav Mishra, and season 4 deals a lot with family. It's called A Family Matter.
Correct.
And do you think that now we can talk about, because it's out, all the episodes are out, that in the finale when Pankaj Tripathi's character deletes that recording and lets it go, do you think that's also because he's also surrounded by family?
Definitely, I think that for the audience also gives it more legitimacy as a decision. It's not just, I think you realize or you subconsciously absorb the thing that he is more in that position than the sole lawyer he was in season 1, right? So I think that affects him differently than it would have if we hadn't developed that side of it. So I think it all finds its own tone, which is nice. You find your feet, and get more confidence with each season to then push it further. Not that you're trying to go away from something, but you're finding what this can be,
And how much of a lighthouse is Pankaj Tripathi? Because him and Madhav Mishra is kind of synonymous now.
Absolutely, I think he was the biggest lighthouse in season 1 and I mean season 2, my first season. But I think he was incredible in helping me understand and also giving me the confidence that okay, if we both of us like something, we can take a little departure from what is there on paper and still make the same point in the way we want to make it. So that has only increased, and he's overall also just such a giving actor. Whether it's with Atma Prakash, who's playing the Sala, or Khushbu, just working with them, workshopping with them, figuring out scenes, how to throw things, giving them an extra line that will help the scene. So it's always like that, whether whatever the co-actors are. And I think we've developed a very nice rapport. I think from our side, he also appreciates that we very quickly get onto a wavelength. And I think in terms of the craft of like a series, what's very important is you have very little time. You're doing 7 to 8 pages of work a day. So you're working at maybe 4 times the pace of a feature film and trying to get as close to that quality, without dropping that. So when you do that, I mean, you obviously need actors who are going to be absolute pillars for you and can deliver, but there's a big responsibility on the crew to also be as efficient as you can with them, because there's a physical and emotional taxing thing if you're doing so much work. If the 8 pages there's 100 ways to dice or slice that particular thing, and if you take a more film approach, which is slightly more slow, and you do more coverage, and you end up exhausting an actor, having him go through the scene 40 times, your second scene is going to suffer. Even if you make it through the day, the next day he's going to come in exhausting you. Suddenly so you have to find a way that, okay, I'm going to find a way to minimize, not minimize in that sense, but optimize okay, we're going to this one camera move, we're going to do a steady cam move for 2 minutes. I know we'll rehearse it once and we'll get it right in one thing. Okay, so that's 2 pages worth of work we managed to do without compromising. Now this scene, okay, going to need 3 cameras for. So that means he's only going to have, or not he, or X or Y, Z actor is going to have to come in and they'll in 2 or 3 passes we'll have done a 3-page scene, as opposed to, okay, let's do this one bit, okay, now we're going to do it's very easy to get into a more meticulous way of doing it, but that doesn't, you might win the battle but lose the war in trying to keep the show as fresh, keep your actors as fresh as you're going through it, so it's yeah, it's a lot of learning for me as well.
It's interesting because it's criminal justice really operates like a proper legal procedural thriller. Like there's not your old Tariq pe Tariq, that kind of
The,
language. But it's still so entertaining also because Pankaj Tripaঠি's humor, and he says that he has to inject some sense of humor into everything that he does because he believes that people take him more seriously, or people take any actor more seriously if it's being conveyed through humor. So
yeah, I think he's definitely right
yeah,
in that, and I am also very biased that way. I instinctively look for humor in
yeah,
whatever material I'm working on, even if it's a thriller. You especially in thrillers, even when you're working on a show like Aranyak, I was very hopeful that wherever there was that one beat, you could bring it out, because that just helps you then when you want to go back into the next bit of drama or revelation or thrill. You just enjoy the departure from it for that beat.
But has there ever been a day where he would have suggested something or he would have tried something and you said that it's getting a little too overboard, let's try toning it down? Has that ever happened? How do you deal with
Genuinely, I
that?
cannot
Yeah.
think of that. I cannot think of that happening, and I don't. But I don't think I'd ever have a problem with it if I did feel that way. Maybe once or I can't imagine, but it's very rare that we've had that kind of thing. Maybe once or twice. I'd say if you take this line a certain way, just help us for the edit, or there's a certain emphasis. But I don't even recall us. He's very well prepared on multiple levels. He knows the overall story that's going on, and he's obviously rehearsed and prepared for the scenes that we're doing for the day as well. And if he has any questions, normally they come up in advance
Okay.
that he wants to clarify, and they usually then we come up with some solution that works better than what is there on paper. So yeah, an absolute dream to work with.
Yeah. And season 4, for those of us who watched it, it's so much about, like, the finale reveals that it's so much about motherhood. It's motherhood that kind of almost changes a person. Um, I mean, two people, like the victim as well as the perpetrator, or the one who's like on side of the
Yeah.
perpetrator. And it's only like motherhood is moving mountains very silently throughout the film, instead of going, like old school and saying like long dialogues and rants about ma and motherhood. So how did you approach that theme of exploring motherhood through a legal procedural?
Again, see, that's something that to large extent is done on paper, right?
Yeah.
That is something that, but then you keep that spirit in mind as you're executing it. And luckily, with an actor like Surveen, also she internalizes something like that
Yeah.
pretty quickly. She herself is a mother, so I guess those are themes that obviously resonate with you as you're reading it. As an actor, you'll have that extra connection to it, as a mother. But I think if it's there on paper, then we can bring it out. But it's not. So the good thing is that it was designed with that kind of a theme. Obviously, we didn't know exactly how it would be received till it actually goes on air, and you see that it has connected correctly. But yeah, that was, I think, always within the core, the kernel of the idea was this idea of the extent to which a mother would go, to protect her child as much as she could, which is the most universal and
Yeah.
understand. But then the whole idea is that if you're doing something as simple as that, you have to make the screenplay as elaborate to reach that point.
Yeah.
So you can't
It's
tell that
almost
story
like
very
you're
simply. So it has to be a
yeah.
little more convoluted for you to
Yeah.
finally connect to that emotion at the end. You know?
Yeah, it's almost like you're reverse engineering it.
Yeah.
As opposed to say those we've seen so many like revenge dramas where something happens to the child and the ma is all out
Correct.
going out there. So it's such a fresh departure from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I spoke to Samir Nair recently, and he said that when they launched The Office with you as the director, they thought that they could have done more seasons, and especially if it releases today,
I
then he
would
would.
love that. I
Yeah,
mean, I loved working on that show, and I love the original,
yeah.
both the English and the American versions.
Hmm.
I would love nothing more than to do
Yeah,
multiple more seasons of it. It was a very fun group of actors
yeah.
also,
Mhm.
and the material also was great fun.
Yeah, and but it's such a tough tone to crack, no? Because you enjoy watching that, but how do you really create that on camera, like on scene?
Yeah, I guess you have to, and again, very useful to have a format to work off, and
Mm.
Applause wanted to stay quite faithful to that format,
Mm.
so that made it clear for us. But yeah, comedy is something I'm obsessed with. Actually, that's by far the
Mm.
genre I love, because it's so hard. It's such a
Yeah.
fun genre to attempt. Uh, and it was, The Office was kind of the evolution of the sitcom. No?
Mm.
So rather than the laugh track of the sitcom, you have this look into camera,
Mm.
which again brings the audience into the equation,
Yeah.
the way the laughter and clapping of an audience does.
Mm.
So all these little subtleties of the form also
Mm.
become part of it. But I think there's no, you're definitely, you need the appetite on the
Mm.
part of the platform. And
Mm.
my biggest wish for the
Mm.
future of, I mean, whatever we call this OTT stuff, is that there is more room for comedy.
Mm.
Like good for, not comic dramas, but
Mm.
comedy, out and out
Comedy. Mm.
comedy. I think is the biggest. That's the biggest shortage there is.
Mm.
There's hardly any pure comedies out there. I did one called Sandwiched Forever a few years ago, which was
Mm.
great fun in a kind of 5 camera,
Yeah.
multicam format. But
Which was a couple sandwiched between their parents.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and fab
Mm.
actors. You've got Atul
Yeah.
Kulkarni
Yeah.
and Lubna Sareem on one side. You've got Zakir Hussain and Divya Seth on the other side, and Kunal Roy Kapoor and Ahana in the middle.
Yeah.
So 6 really fun actors. So it's almost like that experience was like almost like being part of a theatre group. Every day you
Mm.
go to the same set, same set
Mm.
of actors. Just working off these things, and it was really amazing experience work wise.
Mm.
And I think yeah, but it just somehow OTTs have not yet
Mm.
unlocked comedy
Mm.
as a genre. Hopefully soon.
Yeah. Even Samina said that they tried The Office too early in the streaming era.
The
If they do it now and with Geo Hotstar having so many subscribers now, that they would do it like it
yeah,
would perform much better.
yeah. I hope that Geo does take that up. But on the other hand, on the content side, the
Mm.
counterpoint is this: that there's so much. If you look at it now, there's so
Mm.
much stuff in there that you would not have gotten away with today.
Yeah.
Gopal's
Maybe.
character, he's like a full, he's out on a tangent. He's doing
Yeah.
all these crazy things that no platform would let you put that out today. So
Yeah.
it's a shame that it's
Mm.
gone backwards in the last whatever 7 years, but
Mm.
that is where we are.
Yeah. But it was his character only that really made the show
Yeah, yeah,
take off.
and that's like Dwight over there. Is
Right.
that
Yeah.
you need that spark of crazy
Mm.
that everything else then kind of can coalesce
Yeah.
around.
Speaking of the spark of crazy, I want to talk a little bit about your film career because I think it's 20 years of Bluffmaster
That's
this
right.
year.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, I don't think that film gets enough credit for what it
Yeah.
was. And especially Abhishek Bachchan kind of really headlining it. And we now talk about how he's making all these choices. He's doing an I Want to Talk, a Kali Dhar Lapata. But he's been doing it since then with
Yeah, yeah. He
Bluffmaster,
always had that.
with Guru, and
Yeah, he was
so
always ready to take risks.
yeah. So what was your conversation with him like back when you approached him before you? I think you did Kuch Na Kaho before that
I think
with
Kuch Na Kuch.
him.
So the
Yeah.
real story of it is uh, Sridhar and I were
Mm.
talking about something, and we finally settled on this idea
Mm.
of this duo,
Yeah.
a guru and
Mm.
and a and his
Hmm.
Shagird
Yeah.
kind of a structure. And he was to play the Shagird. That was the original
Okay.
idea. And we had identified and spoken to Sanjay Dutt
Hmm.
for the part of Roy, or what
Yeah.
eventually became Roy. And so so that, I mean, they were both on board,
Hmm.
signed on for the film, and I was not quite getting their schedules together. It was not kind of working out.
Hmm.
And then I think it was around May 1st or something, Abhishek calls me up and I go to visit him and meet him.
Hmm.
And he says, you know, that script you've been wanting to make,
Hmm.
you ready to do it? I said, yeah, when do you want to do it? He said, now. I said, what happened? I said, Karan Johar was making Kabhi Alwada Na Kehna,
Yeah.
and suddenly he had shifted his shoot schedule from February to September.
Okay.
So suddenly all these actors were sitting at home with like 4 months free.
Hmm.
And so he said, if you can get it going in the next month, then we can make the movie. So, and he said, what if I play that guy?
Hmm.
And I think he mentioned Ritesh, have a look at,
Hmm.
I think Kya Cool Hai had just come out.
Hmm.
And so immediately went and met Ritesh. And literally,
Hmm.
that's how films get made, you know. So within
Yeah.
4 to 6 weeks, we had cast the film,
Hmm.
got everything moving, and that's how it happened. But
Hmm.
again, there he was supposed to actually play the other part with the last laugh. Instead, he again took on this role where, in the end, the
Hmm.
twist is on
Yeah,
him,
on
but
him.
he did
Hmm.
not see it as a negative, which is
Hmm.
not all actors would have
Hmm.
agreed with that. You know,
Yeah.
so it was. I was very lucky that he saw the bigger perspective of the film and
Hmm.
came on board for it. But yeah, that's how it kind of came together.
Hmm. Even the music of that film and how it was shot was so refreshing, from say a Bure Bure
Yeah,
to even your the Ek Mein Aur Ek Tu Hai, like a music video,
correct.
which we hadn't really seen in Hindi cinema before that, like a proper music video. I think Priyanka Chopra even wrote in her book that that was the video that got her a break in her music career. Like somebody
Yeah,
suggested because they thought that she's
Anjula,
actually singing.
her business partner now,
Yeah,
Anjula,
Angela.
I was friends with her that time. She was
Hmm.
running a site called desihits.com, and that's how she got to meet Priyanka, because this video blew up on her site.
Nah.
And yeah, so these things happen,
Hmm.
but it's hard to plan them,
Yeah.
because I think you just go with the right instinct as much as you can.
Hmm.
You know, if you trust the instinct of those people around you as well, and sometimes you kind of hit the bullseye. You know, so
Hmm.
that the music of that also came out of just more of a thing of, as much as a thing of, I had to bring the film in a certain budget, so I didn't have the luxury of going to,
Hmm.
you know, so these were tracks that were available and ready. We recorded only one song, which was Ek Main Aur Ek Tu.
Okay.
Almost everything else was existing music, maybe adapted a little bit, but
Hmm.
you know, Jaideep writing lyrics for
Hmm.
the new sections of it. But
Hmm.
literally, it came out of almost necessity that we have to be more guerrilla style on this,
Yeah.
and that way I could indulge more of my individual taste,
Hmm.
you know, because I'm not
Hmm.
doing it at a cost which is prohibitive. Then I can take more risks,
Hmm.
and you end up finding something more fun along the way, you know.
Yeah. And speaking of like just taking risks and in less budgets, I think after that you did like a step back from direction and you were producing a lot of
Yeah,
films. Three films primarily. It was Chandni Chowk to China
yeah,
and Taxi Number 911 and The
yeah,
President is Coming.
correct.
These three, which were so different from each other, and some may have worked, some may haven't. But to take those risks as a producer, why did you think that, oh, say, Taxi no, Number 911, that I won't direct this one, I'll just take a back seat as
So
a
that was
producer?
always a conversation we had with Milan Luthria, that
Yeah.
we wanted to do a film with him, and then
Hmm.
agreed on this subject. So it was not
Hmm.
like a subject that was ready that we approached
Okay.
him with.
Hmm.
So it kind of evolved. And the Rajat, that was his first film. He was
Hmm.
doing dialogue on a lot of work with Sridhar. He was assisting Sridhar and
Hmm.
doing dialogue with him. So it became a chance for him to get his first film solo
Hmm.
as a writer. So that's how. But yeah, I think the central notion is, I think if you don't take risks, is it's the bigger risk. You know, like
Yeah.
the where you can really fail is trying to copy something that
Hmm.
will be 2 3 years old by the time you're trying it.
Hmm.
So I think on multiple levels that is a dangerous route to go.
Hmm.
Obviously, not everything fires, but you hope that enough of them fire to keep you alive in the business. So again, so when I did Office 9 years later, I actually worked on President is Coming as a mockumentary too.
Yeah, yeah.
So in that sense, I was familiar with that form. 8 9 years before that, we had tried playing with it, and that came again from films like Spinal Tap and those kind of things, which just blew your mind as teenagers or whatever. You just like can't believe they're
Yeah.
doing that. So some of it may be misguided also, that there's a much smaller audience for this than is feasible for a film like that. But that's, you only learn when you break your teeth and
Yeah.
bones a few times.
But you're right about the fact that the similarity between The President is Coming, The Office, even Chandni Chowk to China is a very different kind of humor, but there's a lot of in your comedy or the comedy that you've backed. There's always a lot of silence, and it's not really, there's just one stunt after another or one gag after another. There's a lot of silence, which is why I thought that even as a producer, your filmography with directors as different as Milan Luthria and Nikhil Advani, they all like kind of somewhere met at the same plane, which is why I think it also speaks a lot about the man who's backing them
Yeah,
or
well, I
backing those
think
stories.
yeah, obviously somewhere it has to, you have to have come to a shared bridge or dream that will, and sometimes it doesn't work. Maybe Nikhil and I were not a good team. Obviously, the end result was not. So that was not a good collaboration in that sense. Didn't bring out, एक और एक 11 नहीं हुआ उसमें, मतलब it did not add up to more. But with Bunty it was good, and yeah, so it's always and now that I'm in the position of a director, I see that equation with other producers, whether it's Sameer Nair or Goldie Bell, or with BBC I did a bunch of things, so that you find they might have something slightly different in mind, you might have, but you will come to some kind of uh, compromise is the worst word for it, but something, a synthesis of what both of you have been thinking about, and that will probably be better than either one individually. That's what you hope for.
Yeah. And I want to talk a little bit about Kunal Roy Kapoor. And obviously, he directed The President is Coming. You worked with him extensively as an actor as well. There's something that I find that जो आपने बोला कि एक और 11, that happens when the two of you work
Yeah, I have great
together.
fun with him. I think
Not a lot of people get his sense of humor.
yeah,
I feel.
like I said, that's the unfortunate thing, is
Yeah.
that it'd be wonderful if there was even wider acceptance for that deadpan kind of humor, but not just deadpan, but this slightly uncomfortable,
Oddball kind
yeah,
of.
I know, and making you almost uncomfortable with how he's in a situation that,
Yeah.
what do you call it, cringe or whatever it is, that the British do very well. So there's, yeah, with Nautanki, with Side Hero, I don't know if you've seen
Yeah.
that was for me also great fun,
Yeah.
in terms of getting to play with many different things and to see another side of the industry and make it a bit of a love letter to that. So I think yeah, with him it's very and again it's always the writing that drives it. So on Sandwiched as well, we had a lot of fun with that, and I think Atul Kulkarni was the first one on Sandwich who understood, okay, this is not a medium for subtlety. We have to tikake, we have to really land every line, every beat very precisely, and play to the front bench, as it were. Not this kind of a more naturalistic or this thing, which once he said that, the kind of penny dropped for all of us, and embraced that approach to it, and that really helped on that, including Kunal as well.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, he's just again an actor who listens a lot and has ideas all the time, and that's always fun. Whether it's him, Gopal, so many guys that we when we work together, or whoever you end up working with, even with Pankaji and all, it always is more fun when it's collaborative, and that balance of taking in suggestions but being clear enough about what your aim is.
Yeah. I think Kunal was even great in the short film that you did in a newsroom.
Yeah, that was a great fun. That was again Gopal and him, and
Yeah,
Anubhav
Gopal.
did a little bit of a cameo
Hmm.
as a slightly unctuous side hustle guy. Yeah, but that was again great fun. And then yeah, that India Today had called me a few years ago, and I said if I can make fun of the media, then I can do this kind of a film. So that was a great opportunity to showcase it in front of a media
Yeah.
organization of what the media is like from my point of view. So that was great fun, and again had this lovely short story kind of
Yeah.
satirical mad
Hmm.
quality to it. I'm glad you saw it.
Yeah. And Kunal obviously has got his praise for his appearances in Ye Jawani Hai Diwani and Delhi
Of
Belly.
course.
He's great in them, but I think there's still a lot of him which is untapped.
Yeah, yeah.
The comedy in him, which is
Yeah,
untapped.
he is ready with his tap and sink. He's ready. We have to provide the opportunities. But yeah,
Hmm.
he's full of energy, and
Hmm.
there's lots to do with him. Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. Are you enjoying your time more directing shows as opposed to films?
I love directing shows.
Hmm.
It's a different brief. I think with films in India, it ends up being closer to what you would call the auteur space, where you are
Hmm.
more the author of it
Yeah.
in a broader sense of from the conception and writing through the
Hmm.
execution, through the post. All of that is more on your shoulders.
Hmm.
Whereas I think in a series, like it takes a village to raise a child. It takes
Yeah.
an army to
Hmm.
do a show. So I'm definitely not the author of any of the shows I've done, in that sense, because there are writers,
Hmm.
creators before that. There's a producer that's coming in, then they
Hmm.
bring me in, and along with the actors and crew, so it's more craft than art, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. But I love that about it as well, because
Hmm.
there's no better way that I've had to, or better opportunity to polish the craft when okay, these are 48 days, you're averaging okay about 7 or 8 pages a day.
Hmm.
You're going to have to get through this combination of using all the tools you've learned and learn a
Hmm.
few more along the way.
Hmm.
So on that level, it's very satisfying, because nothing better than the end of a day to know that you
Hmm.
got that done. It was very creatively satisfying, and the execution challenges of it you've also met and
Yeah.
found creative solutions, because sometimes restrictions also become great
Hmm.
ways to be creative.
Yeah.
Like if you can have unlimited resources, that doesn't necessarily mean you get better results.
Hmm.
So the form of shows often gives you
Hmm.
opportunities to be more creative. So and with each show you have a few more tools in your toolkit to take into the next one.
Hmm.
So that keeps building, which is exciting. It's hardcore, but it's a lot of fun.
Hmm.
So I would obviously love to go back onto a film set as well
Hmm.
soon, but we are not the masters of our fate. So you see the good opportunities that are actually in front of you, and you take those on and
Hmm.
keep working towards films and things like that.
Yeah. But it's been over a decade that you've directed a
Correct.
feature. Would the reception of, say, Dam Maro Dam or Nautanki Sala ever informed that decision of not doing
Oh, it's not a
feature
conscious
films?
thing at
Yeah.
all. It was
Okay.
not that I chose to
Hmm.
take some dramatic departure
Hmm.
from. I was not even, I think, successful enough to that I could say, okay, I'm leaving. And nothing like that.
Hmm.
I think after that we produced a film called Sonali Cable. So I was
Yeah.
about a year or so. I was working on that post
Hmm.
the release of Nautanki.
Hmm.
And then there were a couple of film scripts that I tried to put together, but for whatever reason they didn't materialize. And then a couple of these shows started. So it's literally that, and yeah, it's literally that, and then just
Hmm.
one after the other, they've been happening. So not really.
Hmm.
In the last year or so, I've been trying to consciously work on
Hmm.
getting some stuff together.
Hmm.
So we'll see if that. I would be extremely excited to do that. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, nothing that is locked right now.
Hmm. I don't know. I think you must have been asked this before, but has the dark cloud of being the son of the director of Sholay, has that ever like chased you?
That's a rainbow. It's not a
Yeah.
dark cloud.
Yeah,
It's
but the expectation of that.
that's
Hmm.
okay. That
Yeah.
expectation is, something that lifts you up, and
Hmm.
I think, very clearly been a privilege for me
Hmm.
on multiple levels.
Hmm.
Both just knowing whenever I make my connection to Sholay known to a stranger, there's a
Hmm.
smile on that person's
Hmm.
face that is worth, and that is priceless. From starting from there
Hmm.
to the fact that in the industry I carry all the goodwill forward has
Hmm.
only benefited me. I don't think any audience would have judged me negatively for being his son. That is more like a media perception or
Hmm.
something, that framing that
Yeah.
does not come to an audience. If they like something, they like it. If they don't like it, you can still imagine it for an actor being more of a
Hmm.
hangover or problem for an actor, that, oh, there's a resemblance but not quite, or whatever it
Hmm.
is. But director is relatively abstract from an audience point of view,
Hmm.
that it would not really, someone to compare this guy as a director is not the
Hmm.
director's father, which is true, but
Yeah.
I don't think that is something that would be any kind of pressure or a downward or a negative influence on me.
Yeah.
So
But also because you've been making different kinds of movies than maybe that your father did.
no,
Like
fair
say,
enough. My
yeah,
father also is one of the most versatile,
versatile filmmakers. Yeah.
from making a film about a single mother in 1969
Hmm.
to an out and out comedy with a woman driving the poster, Sita or Geeta, to
Yeah.
Sholay, to Shakti, to Shan, to Sagar.
Sagar.
Each
Hmm.
one as different from the last. So that is definitely one of the inspirations. Also, is this appetite to master different genres and
Hmm.
tell different kinds of stories is
Hmm.
wonderful, and definitely I've been able to, I mean, attempt that
Hmm.
in series, at least been able to try a few different things, which has been fun.
Hmm. It's 50 years of Sholay this year, but I know you were very little when it released. But what is your first memory of that film?
I've said it before. My
Yeah.
memories are going down to the set in Bangalore where they were shooting the climax, and I
Hmm.
must have been 3 or something years
Yeah.
old and wandering around, and then suddenly seeing this giant of a man looming in front of me, Mr. Bachchan, and he's got blood on his back, and I'm just looking at this vivid, gory thing, and
Hmm.
the next thing I know, he's turning around, and he's laughing and joking, and just wondering what is this world. Is probably my first impression of this magical
Yeah.
movie world. Is probably the first thing, and then of course
Hmm.
watching the film in Minerva and other
Hmm.
places after release, that
Hmm.
happened a countless number of times.
But the feeling that, oh, it's that big a deal, when did that come in? That, oh, it's a phenomenon. It's history in the making.
That, and probably that was much later. I guess you,
Hmm.
as a child, you know that, and your first thing is your school friends like the film, which is the ultimate validation,
Yeah.
or whatever feel good moment for you.
Hmm.
And then later on, realizing that it still, holds its place. That probably happened later, and then consciously doing something about it. Then me and my sisters decided that not just the film, there's so many stories about the film, that's
Hmm.
when we approached Anupama with the idea
Hmm.
for the book,
Yeah.
and wanted to at least preserve as much of that as we
Hmm.
could, because there were such great stories that we didn't want to lose them. And so
Hmm.
fortunately she came on board and put together that account of it, which helped preserve that as well.
Hmm. Finally, as a filmmaker, what do you think any filmmaker today or any young filmmaker, budding filmmaker can learn from Sholay, from that film now?
I think, well, you watch it as a film, there's lots of the craft is all incredible, so there's a
Yeah.
lot to learn on that. But if you want to go one step back, just
Hmm.
learn the kind of laser focus, the determination,
Hmm.
and the absolute spirit of not wanting to compromise and pursuing something you believe in can pay rewards. You never know if it will. You never
Hmm.
guaranteed that, but it's only for that kind of marathon effort
Hmm.
that you can get rewarded. So I think innumerable lessons in the thing. The dialogue writing itself till today will give you lots of one-liners to keep you through the dark afternoon of the soul when you're wondering if you can finish writing the thing, if you can finish shooting the thing. So lots of good lessons in it. But I think the most important one is this like Thakur's focus, his desire to get what he wants. We all have to have that as filmmakers, and have the belief that the audience will then come if you pursue it with that conviction.
As I was talking to Anand El Rai recently because his
The ending, they've done
the
released a
ending
new
is
ending.
being changed of Ranjana with artificial intelligence, and he said that what if you do the same to a Sholay and keep Jay and Veer alive because it's a happy ending. So what is your take on that, on the increasing influence of AI in movies? And to go,
The trouble
yeah.
is, artificial intelligence will never be matched. The increase in artificial intelligence will pale in comparison to the increase in natural stupidity. You see, that's the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is not AI. The problem is that our stupidity doesn't. So I think AI is a tool like other tools. It's probably obviously each generation of tools that comes is more impactful than the previous one. Like what computer VFX have done has been more impactful than what happened 20 years before that. And similarly, AI will be more impactful in our business. I don't think yet anyone really knows where it's going. Uh, and I guess you have to be a bit of a Luddite to want to say no to tools. So that is a dangerous way to go. But the tools should not be in the hands of someone who doesn't know what they want. It's like even computer graphics, for example, those are tools. Now no point putting them in the hands of a computer engineer. You want to put them in the hands of a painter, an artist.
Yeah.
Then they will use it to give you something that is artistic, right? That has thoughtfulness behind it. So similarly, AI, if it's used by someone who knows why you're using it and what you're using it to achieve, then I think I'm sure it can be breathtaking. But that person or that agency has to come from us, not just that we have this tool to do this trick with. There'll obviously always be a little bit of novelty in that, but I don't think that is going to define a medium ever. It's going to be more the right person finding the way to use the tool. Like my father used 70 or whatever it is. You want to bring things that will take people's breath away. But if the story didn't hold, then the best cameras and best whatever technical things would not matter. And there have been many films like that have failed, that have been technically up there but not, complete. So I think AI is the 800-pound gorilla version of that, but it is still finally a tool. I've not yet seen AI conceiving and generating kind of stories, and maybe that's also around the corner.
But I think it's also the art and intent of even giving a prompt.
Yeah,
AI,
all of that. All of that will be part of it. And I'm sure it's all growing as well very rapidly.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
Looking forward
Devansh.
to whatever you do next.
Yes, I
Shows,
hope it's soon.
films, whatever.
Thank you,
choose
Devansh.
to. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.